Hi everyone, it is Wednesday, November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving, and I am back. Thank you so much for your patience for waiting, and we finished The House of Cards, and we had a blast. My husband, Michael Gill, and I are both on the show, House of Cards, and you are going to be in for a treat of a season. It just gets better. And we finished up, came back from Baltimore. Now it's going to be Thanksgiving tomorrow. I can't believe how time has flown. And so happy Thanksgiving. And for me, Thanksgiving is mostly about being thankful and grateful for the gifts in my life, the people where I live here in Great Barrington, my husband, my son, my doggie, the great friends that I have in my life, and all the blessings I have through work and the people that are important to me in my life. And so I make it a point on Thanksgiving in this time to tell the people that I love and that I'm thankful for in my life, to tell them. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the art of listening in life and in acting. I'm going to talk about it more through acting than in life, but I think that the things that I might say about how the strength of listening and acting actually helps in your life as well. I found it so in my life. When I went to Northwestern University, one of the things that was reflected to me in terms of one of the gifts that I had was that I seemed to be a good listener. And of course that's not something that I actually thought about, it's just apparently something that I did. But in consequent years I started thinking about, what does that mean to be a good listener? When you're in a scene with a partner and they're talking, they represent half of the information of that scene. So when you provide that partner with your full attention, with your eyes, with your ears, with your facial expressions, it says as much about that person and what they're saying as it does about you. So let's say you're playing a character who doesn't really listen. There are things you might do while someone is talking. You might look away. You might look at your fingernails. You might scratch your ear. You might rub your nose. You might look down. That doesn't mean you're not listening, by the way, if you look down. But so in that way, it's a contrast to a character choice or even an actor choice to give the other person their time to speak and really listen to what they're saying. Because as you learn your lines, you memorize your lines, you're going through the motions of where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there, and you're learning your lines, that quality of listening to the person who's talking to you allows you to go more deeply into who you are as your character. And then when you speak, and you speak directly from what you've heard, not what you've memorized they're supposed to say, but what you've heard them say and how you've heard them say it, it can actually alter the way you will say your line, the way you will interpret what your line is going to say to them. And what that does is it deepens the scene, it deepens the exchange, and gives more meaning to the exchange and to the scene and to the play. You can have a lot going on while you're listening, as we do in life. You can be listening and having judgments about what that person is saying. You can be listening and not have judgments about what that person is saying. I will tell you that it's much better, depending on who you play and what your character is, to sort of unfetter yourself with judgments while that person is speaking, but really just hear what they're saying and how they're saying it to you. So when you're really listening, you're actually getting even more information about that person, about that character, So there's the person, that's life, and the character that's on stage. And so you have a much greater palette to choose from when you respond. And I would say the same thing applies in life. And it seems like it's a simple thing to do, but it's not. Because while you're acting, you're multitasking. You're not just thinking about what's right in front of you. You're thinking about what your line might be. You're thinking about where you might be going next. But eventually, after you've rehearsed and you have been performing, those things become second nature. So this listening becomes a delicious tool. And in fact, I would say that even before all those things are known to you ad nauseum, so you know them by heart, when you're rehearsing and you choose to listen versus create or decide what you're going to do next, it provides a much more spontaneous and creative pot to choose from. On a separate note, when you listen effectively, you are as compelling to watch as anybody else on stage, as compelling as the person who is speaking, because you're still and you're focused, and that's very inviting. So anything that I talk about in terms of acting, the place that I'm coming from is the quality of an actor that allows and encourages an audience to lean in to them and listen and watch. You invite an audience to lean into you when you're listening completely with your intention to listen. It's a very, very wonderful and strong choice. And it's very generous to your partner or to the scene that you're in. So let's say you don't have any lines and there are 3 or 4 people having a conversation and you're a person in the scene. You owe it, unless your character is meant to do something else, But if you're part of a scene, and this happens a lot in television, so when the camera comes to you, you are listening. And you have the intention to listen. You have the expression of listening. And the camera loves that. I have had quite a few compliments about the fact that the camera can come to me and always find something happening here. And that's because I've practiced listening. I have been engaged in active listening since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, way back when I acted in high school. And I was encouraged and taught that listening is as important a skill as speaking. So I encourage you, if you are an actor or an actress, to practice this in your scenes, in your shows, when you're working, both on stage and in film, even in commercials, even I don't know that you can listen in your monologue, but I will say that there are moments in monologues where you can take a pause to listen to what you're thinking. Instead of maybe rushing through your monologue, boom, 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 unless, of course, that is a character trait. But to be speaking and take just a minute to listen to what you might be thinking, again, encourages your audience, your auditioners, your directors to lean in and watch you. So, as far as life is concerned, people respond really well when they feel they're being heard. My father once said that he wanted to run a workshop someday. And I said, what would you do? He said, I would just listen. Because that's really what people want. They want to be heard, and they want to have their stories heard. And I think he's right. I have experienced both the not listening and the listening. And I find that when I really want to engage, either to help with conflict or to just have a very good conversation, if I want to know someone, if I want to know their point of view, I will encourage myself to listen. And then conversely, listen to myself. How many times have you heard, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be there, I don't really want to go, or I'm not comfortable in this situation, I need to speak up? Listening to yourself and honoring the helpful, healthy voices that you might hear within you is a great exercise. Maybe that's your guidance system talking, and you'll be happier if you don't go to that particular event and be a good person or do it because you should do it. Maybe the part of you that says, I really don't want to go, needs to be listened to. So I'm really thankful for listening to myself more and more and more as I get older. And you can start this exercise right this second. And next time you hear a voice, just take a minute and say, why am I not listening to that voice? Maybe that voice has something important to tell me. So, happy listening is what I want to say. So that's my acting, actually lesson today. It's not so much of a tip, but that's my my acting lesson for today. And I wanted to do a shout out to a friend of mine who made these beautiful earrings that I'm wearing right now. Her name is Ani Crowfoot, and she has a website, animaliki.com. And she's a dancer and an actress and an artist and a mom and my friend. And her jewelry is gorgeous. The holidays are coming. We have Hanukkah, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, and then Valentine's, anniversaries. And Ani's art is in her jewelry. Her dance is in her jewelry. Her creative spirit is in her jewelry. When you look at Ani's jewelry, it moves and it flows and it's just magical, like she is. So I recommend her site, and I recommend her highly. Her jewelry is just beautiful. So I want to give a shout out to my friend. And Thanksgiving is the most traveled holiday of the year. So I hope you're happy with wherever you're going, and I want you to be safe, and I want you to be careful. And is there anything else I was supposed to talk about?
Tyler.
What?
Tyler. Video.
Oh! Yes, thank you, Heather. I will be attaching to this blog a video of my good friend, Tyler Malik. And Tyler did an audition, and I saw it and I thought, this is perfect to illustrate my lesson about the art of listening. So what I'd love is for you to watch it and tell me what you think about her listening as you watch it. Because I'm always engaging my bloggers to give me feedback about what they think. And I sort of want to lay down a challenge to you all to share my blog with friends of yours, with actor friends of yours, because the whole point for me is to reach out to the acting community and to people who are interested in acting and the process of acting, and eventually do coaching via Skype. So I'd love to broaden my base, and I'm just very grateful to all of you who are listening and waiting, and I appreciate you very much, and I am thankful that you are here with me on this site. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.